Welcome to the Documentary Hub, your gateway to discovery. Explore a world of knowledge, one documentary at a time. Subscribe now and never miss a story worth telling. Welcome to our documentary on the history of slavery. This video will take you through the evolution, impact, and persistence of slavery across different cultures, nationalities, and religions from ancient times to the present day. From the earliest known civilizations to today's ongoing fight against human trafficking, slavery has cast a long shadow over humanity. Understanding its complex history is crucial to appreciating the social, economic, and cultural ramifications that echo through time. By examining the myriad ways slavery manifested and was institutionalized, we can better grasp the historical and ongoing struggles for human rights and dignity. Join us as we delve into this profound journey, covering significant periods and pivotal events that have shaped and continue to shape our world. Slavery was a common practice in ancient civilizations such as Sumer, Egypt, China, and Greece. These early societies institutionalized slavery in various ways to meet their labor demands. In Sumer, evidence of slavery dates back to 3500 BC. The Mesopotamian Code of Hammurabi codified laws related to slaves around 1750 BC. Ancient Egypt utilized slaves for monumental construction projects, domestic work, and agriculture. Captured enemies and prisoners of war often became slaves. In China, during the Qin and Han dynasties, those sentenced to severe punishments were condemned to a life of hard labor as slaves. Slavery was similarly entrenched in ancient Greek culture, supporting agricultural production and domestic functions. In Greece, slaves could be war captives, individuals punished for crimes, or those in debt. Across these civilizations, slavery was an ingrained institution essential for various economic and social functions. From constructing the wonders of Egypt to maintaining Greek agricultural foundations, slaves were pivotal. The concept of slavery endured not just through warfare, but also through laws and norms that perpetuated the system. Navigating through the complexities of ancient slavery reveals not only the harsh realities faced by those enslaved, but also provides an understanding of how deeply rooted this institution was across different cultures and periods. During the early Middle Ages, slavery persisted in Europe, but began to wane in some areas. In the Islamic world, slavery thrived and evolved from the 7th to the 20th century. Islamic law sanctioned the enslavement of non-Muslims, leading to an extensive trade network. Slaves were trafficked from non-Muslim lands, including areas north via the Balkan and Crimean slave trades, east through Bukhara, west from Andalusia, and south through the Trans-Saharan, Red Sea, and Indian Ocean trades. Female and child slaves were in high demand for domestic servitude and concubinage. In contrast, male slaves were typically conscripted for labor and military service. This systematic enslavement integrated deeply into the social and economic fabric of Islamic regions. The Islamic slave trade illustrates the complexity and enduring presence of slavery across different regions and eras. Despite various efforts at abolition, the echoes of this trade underscore the impact of slavery on societies throughout history. In the 16th century, European merchants, primarily from Portugal, initiated a profound shift in the history of slavery: the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were forcefully taken from their homeland, shackled, and shipped to the Americas. Prisoners were sourced primarily from West African territories. European traders relied on African middlemen to supply the human cargo. The journey across the Atlantic, known as the Middle Passage, was marked by extreme overcrowding, malnutrition, and disease. Upon arrival, these enslaved individuals were sold to meet the labor demands of European colonies. They worked under brutal conditions on plantations and mines, producing commodities such as sugar, tobacco, and cotton. This trade not only fueled the colonial economies, but also deeply affected the African continent. Societies were destabilized, resulting in irreparable social and economic damage. The trade persisted for centuries, waning only in the early 19th century with the rise of abolitionist movements. In the 21st century, the world grapples with modern slavery despite past abolition efforts. Human trafficking remains an international crisis. An estimated 25 to 40 million individuals are entrapped in modern slavery forms, including forced labor, sex trafficking, and coerced marriages. 61% of modern slaves are subjected to forced labor in the private sector. Approximately 38% are in forced marriages. Regions embroiled in armed conflict are particularly prone to high instances of slavery. Modern slavery contributes to $150 billion in illegal profits annually. Enhanced transportation and digital communication have facilitated human trafficking, making it easier for traffickers to operate across borders. Although historical forms of slavery have been abolished, modern slavery persists as a silent pandemic worldwide. Our collective efforts are necessary to combat these practices and protect the dignity and freedom of all. In the 19th century, mounting opposition to slavery led to widespread abolition movements. Legislative actions were taken, such as the British Parliament's Slave Trade Act of 1807, which outlawed the Atlantic slave trade. The British Preventative Squadron was formed to patrol the West African coast, intercepting and seizing slave ships. Similarly, the United States abolished its involvement in the international slave trade in 1808, establishing the American African Slave Trade Patrol. These initiatives underscored a growing international commitment to eradicate slavery. The abolition movements extended beyond legislation, prompting changes in societal norms and economic structures. The collective efforts of governments and communities reshaped the social landscape, ushering in an era of human rights and dignity. This period laid a foundation for future global human rights movements. Slavery profoundly shaped societies by driving economic development and creating immense wealth for slave owners. However, this wealth came at the cost of human suffering, leading to deep-seated racial inequalities that persist today. Socially, the legacy of slavery left scars and divisions, fostering systemic racism and discrimination. This historical trauma perpetuates cycles of inequality and prejudice, evident in many societies worldwide. Recognizing this past is crucial in addressing ongoing issues of inequality and ensuring a fairer future for all. The story of slavery also includes voices that resonate through history. David Livingstone proclaimed, "To overdraw its evil is a simple impossibility." This emphasizes the immense cruelty ingrained in slavery. King Gezo of Dahomey acknowledged its cultural significance, saying, "The slave trade is the ruling principle of my people. It is the source and the glory of their wealth." The mother lulls the child to sleep with notes of triumph over an enemy reduced to slavery. These quotes reflect the stark contrasts in perspectives on slavery's impact. Recognizing these testimonials helps grasp the full magnitude of its human experience, revealing both the horror and complexity of its perpetuation. In summary, the history of slavery spans many cultures and eras. Understanding this history is essential in combating contemporary human trafficking and slavery. Reflecting on its long-term impacts helps us grasp the roots of social and economic inequalities today. Acknowledging this history is about fostering a just and equitable future, free from enslavement. Understanding the history of slavery is crucial in recognizing its modern forms. Support organizations working to end human trafficking and modern slavery. Continued education and awareness can protect vulnerable populations, ensuring that the legacy of slavery becomes a lesson, not a lingering injustice. Thank you for watching the Documentary Hub. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button and join our community.